Iron Man is a cinematic masterpiece that launched the Marvel Cinematic Universe (MCU) into the stratosphere, forever changing the landscape of superhero films. This 2008 blockbuster takes us on a thrilling journey into the life of Tony Stark, a genius inventor and billionaire playboy who undergoes a profound transformation to become the armored Avenger known as Iron Man. In Afghanistan, billionaire weapons manufacturer Tony Stark is joking with soldiers in a military convoy when they're suddenly ambushed by unseen gunmen. The soldiers are quickly overpowered, and Tony narrowly escapes, hiding behind a rock. He witnesses a missile with the Stark Industries logo hitting the convoy, causing an explosion that pierces his body armor with shrapnel and leaves him unconscious. He is then captured and held hostage by the terrorists. In Las Vegas, Tony Stark is set to receive an award, but he's nowhere to be found. The presentation reveals that Tony's a genius who took over his dad's company after his parents died, but he's also a bit of a party animal. Colonel Rhodey is supposed to give him the award, but Tony's off partying in a casino. He meets a reporter, Christine, who asks tough questions about his weapons business. They end up spending the night together at Tony's Malibu house. The next morning, Christine wakes up to Jarvis, Tony's computer system. She meets Tony's human assistant, Pepper, and they handle some work together. Then, Tony and Rhodey take a flight where they relax and have a bit too much to drink, leading to some misbehavior with the flight attendants. Tony arrives in Afghanistan to showcase his company's new super missile, the Jericho. He receives a call from Obadiah, and they're happy about the demonstration's success. Tony chooses to ride in a separate Humvee, and it's during this ride that the earlier ambush happens. Tony wakes up in a cave with a strange device attached to his chest, connected to a car battery. Dr. Ensign, another captive, tells Tony that he couldn't remove all the shrapnel from his body. Ensign has created a device to keep the shrapnel in place. Terrorists enter and demand Tony build a Jericho missile, but he refuses, leading to torture by water immersion. Hours later, the terrorists, known as the 10 Rings, showcase a stash of Stark Industries weapons. Tony pretends to comply and starts building the missile, but secretly plans something else. With Ensign's help, he creates a small arc reactor using palladium from the weapons. This device can power Tony's heart and prevent the shrapnel from moving. Ensign shares his own story, mentioning that his village was attacked by the 10 Rings, and he's unsure about his family's fate. Tony has a change of heart and decides to build an armored suit powered by the arc reactor to fight the terrorists. While working on it, the 10 Rings leader, Raza, shows up and threatens to harm Ensign because he thinks Tony isn't building the Jericho. Tony bargains to spare Ensign's life, claiming he's a valuable assistant, and gets one more day to complete the project. Tony works tirelessly through the night and finishes building the armored suit. Ensign helps Tony get into the suit and guides him out of the cave. To distract the guards, they set off a bomb in their cell door, but Ensign realizes they won't have enough time to escape. Ignoring Tony's protests, Ensign takes a gun and goes to divert the remaining guards. With his suit powered up, Tony effortlessly fights his way through the cave, defeating or killing the guards who try to stop him. He also fires a missile at Raza, knocking him out due to falling debris. On his way out, Tony discovers Ensign badly injured. Ensign confesses that it was his plan all along, sacrificing himself so Tony could escape. He reveals that his family is already gone, and he looks forward to reuniting with them in the afterlife. Tony thanks Ensign tearfully, and Ensign's final words urge Tony not to squander his second chance at life. Tony uses his suit to defeat terrorists with flames and missiles, but his suit gets damaged. He escapes with a jetpack, but it fails, and he crashes in the desert. He leaves the suit and walks in the desert until US helicopters find him. His friend Rhodey is happy to see him alive. Tony returns to the US and refuses medical treatment, requesting a cheeseburger and a press conference. He publicly announces his decision to shut down Stark Industries' weapons division, showing a change in his attitude. Meanwhile, Pepper arranges for Tony to meet with Agent Coulson from S.H.I.E.L.D. about his capture. Obadiah confronts Tony, angry about his decision to shut down the weapons division, as it will hurt their company's stock value. Tony wants to focus on arc reactor tech, but Obadiah dismisses it. Tony shows his Mark I chest piece, but won't let it be studied. Stain advises Tony to lay low while the company handles the situation. Pepper watches a critical news segment on Stark Industries' declining value. Tony asks for her help with a new arc reactor. Pepper helps helps install it, but there's a scare when the old reactor is removed too soon, risking Tony's life. They succeed, and Tony tells Pepper to destroy the old one. Tony asks Rhodes for help with a new project, but Rhodes believes Tony needs time to recover from his traumatic experience and disagrees with his approach. Tony seeks Jarvis' help to upgrade his suit, Mark II, and streamlines its design. Meanwhile, Raza, scarred and surviving the cave battle, collects the remaining Mark I suit fragments in the desert. Tony works on improving the armor's flight system, with repulsors in the feet and stabilizers in the palms. He accidentally discovers a powerful repulsion beam that can be used as a weapon. During a test, he gets blown backward. Pepper leaves a gift on his desk. Obadiah informs Tony about a board injunction to control Stark Industries, but Tony is confident in his controlling interest. Tony eventually perfects his flight system and is excited about flying. Tony completes the Mark II suit, which is sleeker than the Mark I. He ignores Jarvis's advice and takes it for a test flight, experiencing its power but almost crashes when it freezes at high altitudes. Back home, the suit crashes through his house, and he finds the Mark I arc reactor as a gift from Pepper. It reads, "Proof that Tony Stark has a heart." Tony plans to rebuild the suit with gold titanium to fix icing and weight issues, calling it Mark III with red trim. While it's being made, he attends a charity event, talks to Agent Coulson, and later shares a moment dancing with Pepper under the moonlight. Christine confronts Tony with photos of his weapons used by terrorists in Gulmira, Inson's village. Tony learns that Obadiah filed the injunction and sells weapons to both sides. Furious, Tony upgrades his repulsors, gets fitted for a new suit, and flies to Gulmira to fix his company's mistakes. In Gulmira, terrorists are capturing civilians, but Tony in his Mark III armor easily defeats them without harming innocent people. He leaves the terrorist leader's lieutenant for the villagers to deal with. While looking for his weapons, he gets shot down by a tank shell but destroys the tank with a missile. He also destroys the captured Jericho missiles with his palm repulsors, and Raza sees him fly away. CENTCOM mistakes Tony for a rogue drone while flying. Rhodes contacts him, and Tony reveals he's the unidentified craft. Two F-22 Raptors confront him. Tony explains he's in his new invention. He gets hit, saving a pilot whose parachute fails. Iron Man rescues the pilot. Tony convinces Rhodes to call it a training exercise. Tony returns home, and Pepper sees him during the suit's removal, which isn't going smoothly. Tony jokes that she's seen him in worse situations. Stane paid the 10 rings to capture and kill Tony Stark, but they demanded more money. Stane then paralyzed Raza and took Tony's armor. Tony convinced Pepper to help him. She found proof that Stane was behind Tony's capture, but he caught on. Pepper met Agent Coulson for an interview to escape safely. Obadiah's team can't make a small arc reactor like Tony's for his armored suit. He gets angry but understands he's not as smart as Tony. Obadiah considers another plan. Stane paralyzes Tony and steals his chest piece. Tony barely survives and uses a gift from Pepper to power up. He suits up as Iron Man and asks Rhodey for help. Rhodey is amazed by the armor and promises to support him. As Tony leaves, Rhodey notices the Mark II suit and hints at future possibilities. Pepper, Coulson, and agents go to Stane's facility. They find the Mark I armor and a storage area. A massive robot suit, the Ironmonger, activates and attacks them using Tony's chest piece. Tony is on his way, but has limited power in his suit for sustained flight. Tony arrives just in time to stop Obadiah from harming Pepper. They have a massive battle that goes into the streets near Stark Industries. Tony lures Obadiah into the upper atmosphere, but Obadiah's suit freezes up like Tony's Mark II. Obadiah falls to Earth while Tony lands on his factory using backup power. Obadiah attacks Tony on the ground. Tony disables Obadiah's weapon tracking system and tells Pepper to overload the arc reactor, risking his life. She hesitates, but does it. The shockwave knocks out Obadiah's suit, killing him and destroying the reactor. Tony's original arc reactor saves him. Days later, Rhodey talks to the press about the robot incident. Tony likes the name Iron Man the newspapers use and decides to use it. Agent Coulson creates cover stories for Obadiah's death and Iron Man's identity as Stark's bodyguard. Pepper learns about S.H.I.E.L.D. from Coulson and expects future contact. Tony faces the reporters once again, intending to follow the cover story. However, as he starts speaking, he discards his notes and boldly proclaims, "I am Iron Man," causing a commotion among the press. In a scene that comes after the credits, Tony arrives home to encounter a mysterious man dressed in black. The man informs Tony that, as Iron Man, he is now involved in a broader universe. Curious, Tony inquires about the man's identity, and he turns around to reveal himself as Nick Fury. The director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Fury has arrived to discuss an upcoming endeavor called the Avenger Initiative with Tony, and the movie ends here. Thank you for watching. and I highly recommend watching the entire movie as it is incredibly enjoyable. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel, so you can stay updated and receive notifications whenever we upload new videos.